Morning, Gwen. I'm really excited to have you here. You're my first guest for an actual visual as well. You're my first one going up on YouTube.
Exciting.
I know.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. You do so much. So first off, just introduce yourself to everybody. Tell everybody what you do, what your speciality is, and what you do.
Yeah, okay. So my name is Gwenne Dickson. I'm from Living Your Best Life Coaching. And as the title suggests, I help people to learn to flourish. So I'm an empowerment coach or a spiritual empowerment coach. I also am a meditation teacher. I'm an NLP master practitioner and a vibrationally healed healer, which is very new. It's a new qualification. So I can chat a little bit about that. But basically what I do is I incorporate everything that I've learned and that I do. And ultimately the things that I've learned, I initially learned for myself to help me to flourish, to help me to love myself, to grow and expand, and to empower myself. And so I've been on a journey for quite a few years now, and now I would describe myself as a guiding hand for other people that are on their own journey of self-discovery, of maybe their spiritual journey. I do tend to open up people to their connection to their higher self, which we all have a higher self, and whether or not we know that she exists or he exists if we're male. But yeah, that can be a big support in our life, in loving ourselves, in connecting with ourselves and reconnecting with ourselves a lot of times. So really that's what I help people to do, is to, as I say, kind of go on their own journey, and I'm that guiding hand for them in many different ways, using kind of all the tools that I've got and I've pulled together for myself. Now I put those together in a package and use those with clients. So yeah, and there's lots of different ways that we can do that as well.
That's the thing, isn't it? There's so many ways that you can get support through a journey. So
Yeah.
obviously I do the coaching around intuitive eating and around body confidence and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But the stuff that I can provide is not the whole package. And I
Yeah.
am a big fan of spirit guides, angels, the universe, all of that. And I believe that you need all these different strings to your bow when you're trying to make some positive changes in your life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the key, I suppose, the uniting factor, if you like, between it all, or the underlying thing between it all, is self-love. We have to learn to love ourselves, and that can be a big, long, difficult journey in itself. And I'm,
Mm.
the first person to say that. But having been on that journey, or continuing on that journey, and hopefully been, quite far along that now, or I'm quite far along that now, I should say. That's what I want to help other people with. That's what I, get excited about, seeing other people and seeing them flourish when they just learn to love themselves and they realise they're okay as they are. And yeah, we've all got, faults, quirks, things that we struggle with at times.
Mm.
None of us are perfect, and that, although I'm a coach and I'm empowering people, I can, I have my moments as well, but that's okay. That makes me real and authentic, and that's what people engage with and relate to, because I'm relatable. I'm not sort of saying, oh, I'm here and I've got all the answers, I've got it all sorted out, and you need to be like this. It's like, well, here, take what I've learned, take what I'm continuing to learn, and let's do this together. So there's that part of it as well. But yeah, self-love is really the key to everything. That kind of unlocks so much for us as well, when we can learn to love ourselves. And love, for me, first is a key principle in that as well. And again, that can be a difficult concept for us as well, because we feel like, oh, if I'm being loving to myself, or if I'm putting myself first, I'm being selfish, or I'm not being this, that, or the other that I'm supposed to be for others. But yeah, when you love yourself first, that ripples out to everyone else. You get this beautiful positive ripple effect, and that's what I love to see as well, is people, when they learn that they can put themselves first in their best interest, their highest out, their best outcomes, their highest good, then that it'll always benefit you, and it'll always benefit everyone else around you, because you feel better, and you're going to relate to each other better, you're going to respond to each other better rather than react, and all these things. So yeah, so that's a big part of it as well. And yeah, then we talked about before about when we can have limiting beliefs, and learning to love ourselves, or learning to put ourselves first, is one of the key things in changing that and turning that around, I suppose. Yeah.
That's it. I think you hit the nail on the head there, with the whole loving yourself and giving yourself kindness and compassion, and how it seemed to be selfish. But you can't function properly with other people until you appreciate yourself, because I'm a firm believer in people will react to the way that you respect yourself, or that you care for yourself. And it's almost, that's a bit of a generalization. I don't mean everybody will treat you badly if you treat yourself badly, but I think if you put out a level of the way you speak to yourself, the way you treat yourself, the care, the kindness, the self-respect, other people will give you that back.
Yeah. Other people will respect you too. And sometimes that is having boundaries, or, learning to say no, or being able to say, no, I can't right now, or whatever. And again, that's something that I've had to help clients with, especially recently, who, I wouldn't say this in a nice way, that's someone who's in their 60s and now learning to say no, and that feels like a big thing for her. But it's a big turnaround for her, being able to go, actually, I love you, but that's not the best thing for me right now. So, and let's meet each other halfway. It's not always about me saying yes, or me, dancing to your tune, or doing what you need from me. It's about you respecting what I need for me as well. And just having those conversations, and opening up those conversations as well. So that's been a big shift for her. Just being able to say no, not right now, or no, I can't, or and learning that no is a full sentence as well, which again is a difficult one for us sometimes.
Yeah.
Others is just go no, and not have to justify ourselves or make excuses.
God, we're such people pleasers, aren't we?
Yeah.
Most people feel really bad about saying no, but actually protecting your space, protecting your needs and your well-being by being able to say no. That's fine. You don't have to feel guilty if it's protecting the journey that you're on and protecting the improvements you're trying to make.
Yeah, it's your own well-being and so on is at the root of that a lot of times as well, because when we overstretch ourselves, or when we kind of spread ourselves too thinly and try to, as you say, please everybody and juggle all the plates and all these things that we do, then we can end up being resentful to those people, and they don't even know. If we don't have the conversation with them, and we always say yes, and they're in that situation, like it's our children, and looking for support and things like that, and not that she wouldn't support them, but it was like they always expected mum to be there for the babysitting, or whatever it was. And if she didn't say to them, I'm really depleted, or I'm, she's got health conditions and so on as well, but if she always said yes and they were used to that and never actually opened up the conversation, they just expected her to continue to say yes all the time until you actually say, this isn't that good for me, or it would be better if, or whatever that needs to be. Sometimes you just need to kind of say that no first, and then maybe explain a little bit about, because I've got this going on, or I've this is happening for me, and meet each other halfway and understand each other a bit better, and then they respect her and they value her a bit more for that as well, rather than just being the kind of doormat, for want of a better word. It's always like as you say, mum will do that, mum always does that, and we can just do what we like because she's always there to pick up the pieces. So that again is self-love for her, love for her first, when she has that conversation, when she opens up that the door to that kind of thing and says, this is how I feel. It's not just all about you. So, but that's a big thing for people to be able to do that. It's a real big shift and change, but how empowering once you've done it.
Yes. It's difficult with children, I think, isn't it? Because children of any age are still your children. And I think we are led to believe that your children have to come first. You always have to put your children first. I'll give you an example. So my children are now adults, both of them. And my husband and I just had our first holiday without the kids. And the first part of that was spent going, oh, I don't know, should we have, is this right? Is it fair? Yeah, exactly. And then actually, do you know what? My kids are grown up, and actually we can put ourselves forward and have some time and things like that. So I know it's a slightly different topic, but I just think it echoes that we're always so ingrained. It's always so ingrained in us that we have to put the kids first, and we have to do everything for them, and then we sort ourselves out after. But you can't nurture your children. You can't show them what boundaries look like in life. You can't be a fulfilled person and parent if you're always give, and no consideration for yourself.
you're not replenishing. Yeah, it's like that old saying of you can't fill from an empty cup, isn't it?
Yeah.
That you have to fill yourself up and recharge yourself and do what you need and fulfill yourself. And then, as you say, you know, you can do so much more for others. They get the best of you when you give the best of you to yourself in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to tell me a little bit about your story, or is that not somewhere you want to go?
No, I am happy to, because as you say, it's very much part of my why. So I worked in financial services for many years, for about 37 years, I think, by the time that I left.
Wow.
So, you know, probably a bit of a, well, I'll say a traditional story for my generation of, like, you know, worked hard at school and was kind of, you know, saw the example of my parents, you know, working hard and wanting you to do well and get a good job and all these things. And so when I left school, it was there was a couple of places that were kind of jobs for life, I suppose. I was like, oh, you go to the bank, or you go to, this was a big financial services employer in our area that was, again, the good place to go and get a job kind of thing. So I went and did that, and kind of built up my career there. And so over the years, I was a manager. I was a customer relations manager. And I was doing people development and doing some things that I enjoyed, but also with that role, and as the role kept changing, I found that I got less and less time to do the things that I actually liked to do, like the development side of things. And you know, I'm a people person, essentially, but you spent less time with your people and more time with the stats and more time with other things and disciplinary things and all sorts of things. And if I'm allowed to say, no, it's not a massively naughty word, but I always kind of describe it as, when you're in that role, you're kind of getting the shit from above and the shit from below, because you know, you're listening to everybody's problems, and then you're getting everybody else going, you're not doing enough of this, and you've got to do that, and you're sort of squashed in the middle of it. And over time, I just was like, oh, this is not for me. There's got to be more to life than this. You know, yes, I've got the job and I can have the holidays or the car or the house and the sort of nice things and the things, but something was missing from me and for me. And and I also went back to a previous relationship, knowing, like, you know how you do things sometimes, like, you know, it's not really good for you, you know, it's not the right choice, but you still do it anyway, because you still hope that things have changed or that something's different now, and you know, these things that we tell ourselves. And that didn't work out, surprisingly. And then I kind of beat myself up of, like, well, I should have known better, and you know, blah blah blah. But I also realised, and just had a bit of an epiphany at that point. So it was a real low point, because I was, as I say, blaming myself for making the wrong choice, etc. But then I also realised that actually I'm not loving myself, allowing myself to be treated like this, accepting this, and allowing this to continue. So I kind of had that moment of, like, I need to start loving myself. I need to do something different for me. I need to do something to fill me up and to feel better first for me. And then I'll find somebody who's right for me. Then I'll have the relationship that I want. Then I'll have what I want. So that was one part of it. And I started kind of exploring things. I learned, I went for Reiki. I learned to meditate, and just really started on my journey at that point. And I also kind of over time discovered the power of NLP and loved that, because with NLP, we can learn to kind of change our own thoughts, or learn to, you know, discover the power of language, and to discover our own behaviours and our own patterns, our own, you know, thought patterns and behaviours and so on. And I really loved how and there's certain things when you get sort of taken through the exercises, and you know, it's all within. And I suppose that's the thing, whether it's NLP, whether it's the healing, whether it's your higher self and so on, there's these tools and things that we have to help ourselves, but really we're discovering that everything exists within us already. It's just about kind of uncovering it and discovering how special and how precious we actually are ourselves within that. So that's the kind of overriding thing for me. And as I say, I'll freely admit that everything that I learned and I did it for me first. It was love for me first, I suppose, in that way, because I needed it and I wanted to learn it. But then, me being me, I was like, other people need to learn this, other people need to have these, people need to discover the magic of these things. And then over time, and I also discovered how to connect with my higher self and everything around that, and how that can really help me and support me, and how we learn, we take on a lot of things over our lifetime that are experiences and so on. We store them in our bodies as low vibrations. It's all around energy. Certain things trigger us or upset us, and you kind of can rationalize them or justify them or whatever, but then you actually, once you sort of start to learn about these things, you realize that these are things that we've taken on and that we've kind of embodied, and we don't realize that we're kind of replaying those or reliving those things. And until you learn that and you learn to release yourself from that, again, realize that those are kind of just stories, but they're more than that, and you need more help to actually release yourself from those stories, because they're so powerful, they're so beneficial, and they've made such a huge change in me. And I want to help other people to do this and to learn about this. So that's my real journey, and that's I'm not saying it's all of that journey that I take people on, but I use these things to help people on their own individual journeys and to empower themselves and take and use the tools and use the things that will help them the most, that are most beneficial for them. And it's everyone's journey is unique and individual to them.
The whole your body stores things, that's massively interesting to me, and it's something that I didn't realize until I started doing my training and started looking into the effects of the mind and the body as one combined unit, essentially. And I see it and I feel it myself. I went through a period about 18 months ago. I was in an incredibly stressful situation, and it was very much work related, and everything felt really physically unwell. And then changed job, changed situation, made some changes in life, dealt with some medical stuff, and all of a sudden my body is freer, more relaxed, less kind of tense and hunched up. It's amazing. It's just amazing.
Yeah. And that's it. We have to, as I say, the vibrational healing that I've recently done, and that is that mind, body, spirit connection. It's like you can't, I'm not saying that I treat things. I'm not a doctor or physician or anything like that, but it's like you can't do one thing in isolation. As you say, it's all linked, and that's where that's really interesting as well, because I'll pick up on something that might seem not contradictory, but might seem like, well, how would that link to that? But again, it's like, because it's all mind, body, and everything else are working together in ways that we can't really understand conventionally, if you like. So I'll pick up on something and say, oh, do you ever get this? Or does that happen? Oh, you might want to try this. And it's so interesting how our bodies and our it's not just our body, it's our whole system, I suppose, our energy and everything like that can respond to things in ways that we can't even imagine. But actually, when it happens and people feel the difference of it, and like you said yourself, you kind of see that shift. It's like, oh, right, okay. So there's so much that goes on unconsciously or subconsciously or energetically, etc., vibrationally, that can blow your mind, really, kind of thing. So, and you can make such a shift when you actually understand that you have the power to do this, or something else can shift that for you. So, that's been really interesting, and it's I've loved seeing it, how it's like being applied in different ways, and how people have flourished in different ways when we do this together. And it is together, because it's not me doing anything to them or for them. Ultimately, it's got to be that partnership. And also, when I coach someone or I give them, we do things together, but they've got to do the work outside of that session as well. So it is very much a partnership. It's not about me coming and waving a magic wand or doing something, slapping them or doing anything. It's like, but it's just giving them that awareness and giving them, and I always call it the tools in their toolkit to, to do over and over again, or to come back to over and again. And so yeah, I'll give them something. I'll give them maybe a session that opens up something for them and helps them in some way. And it's about them keeping sort of topping themselves up and doing the work themselves to help. And the same with what you do with the intuitive eating and all those sort of things. You can give people all the advice and all the guidance, but ultimately they've got to embody it for themselves and take it on board and do what works for them.
Yeah, but then there's the massive satisfaction and like you say, the empowerment that comes with doing that work for yourself. It's tough. It's really hard work. Yeah. But if you've got somebody guiding you or you've got some people around you that are going through the same thing, then you use that, you lean on that, and you do the work yourself, and you come out the other side, and it is just so satisfying. But the problem is, I think we, as kind of 3D beings, we have to. No, we don't have to. We are always looking for a rational explanation for something tangible, something logical. And like you say, there's so much else at play that impacts on everything that we can't possibly understand, or we don't understand. The majority of people don't understand. Talk to me about higher self.
Yes.
I am so interested to hear what you say on that, and how that can affect how you develop, how you have this love for yourself, how you take care of yourself. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So as I say, we all have higher selves that when we're born, essentially, we have our higher self. Our soul is created from part of her soul, and her soul we're intrinsically linked. And as I say, if you're, when you're born female, your higher self is female. When you're born male, your higher self is male. But then we become physical. We have we essentially agree that we'll have things that we want to come and learn in this lifetime. So it might be self-love, or it might be whatever that we wanted to learn and we wanted to grow from. And when we're younger, in particular, I suppose, we can be more open to that and aware of that. And sometimes we're aware that there's something else beyond us. And, like as kids, you might talk to so many people are like, oh, you've got an imaginary friend, or you've got a great imagination, or things like that. Or as adults, we call it intuition, or especially women's intuition, or gut instinct, and all of these things. Actually, a lot of that we've called something else is actually our higher self, is actually a part of us. And when we learn that we have a higher self, and we learn to connect with her, in our case, you have access to that love. They have unconditional love for us. And I always talk about a higher self as like your best friend on speed dial, or your cheerleader, because they love us no matter what. So when we're really not loving ourselves, or we're being hard on ourselves, they still love us, and they still can help us and support us. So when we learn to open up to that relationship and open up that connection, and we start to feel that, that's the thing that, and you see me when I'm talking about things and I kind of jerk, that's my higher self, and I have that connection. So it's a bit odd, and it probably looks a bit odd on camera, but at the same point, it's like, then it's kind of confirmation for me, I feel like, and I've had to get used to it as well, and it's developed over time like that as well. But so I'm digressing, but yeah, when we have that connection to our higher self, and we have that ability to access her guidance and access her love, and we can sort of open up to that, she can help us to release ourselves from the things that we talked about earlier on, the low vibrational things. She can help us to shift out and manage that stored vibration and that transitional vibration, and that's what helps us to feel better and feel good. And it's like you've always got that person to turn to, if you like, someone to get guidance from, someone to feel that love from, and someone to listen to you. Like it's not even you have to talk to her out loud. I can think things sometimes, and I'll get that sort of feeling of like, I'll get that confirmation. And as I say, I've had to work really hard on that, and I've gone through an awakening. I've evolved, and it took me a good couple of years working on that. So I didn't do it overnight, and it's not a simple thing. Like you say, it's not an easy journey, but it is so worth it. And that's what I love opening other people up to and helping other people to do that, because it's hard to describe it, but when you know that you've got that presence there, it's just so comforting. And you know, when things get difficult, or when you're just like, oh, why am I doing this, or why is this happening? You just have that soothing presence, and that reassurance, and that love. And as I say, it opens you up to so much more. And it just it is, like I say, like that sort of best friend in speed dial. And it's when you don't have to, you know, we can all fall out with our best friends at times, or have disagreements and so on. But and so that can be hard as well, you know. I mean, and so, you know, that's the difference as well, that our higher, even when we're judging ourselves and when we're down in the doldrums, they can help to lift us out. And having that presence and that awareness just opens up so much more possibility to us. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And also something else that I've really found through that is, and I might get emotional in a second, but through my awakening, through my journey, I've been able to connect with, and I can help other people connect with, loved ones. So, for example, my dad died many years ago, very suddenly, and that was very difficult. And also, my mum died last year, and that was difficult. It still is difficult for me. I can feel myself feeling that emotion now. But having that connection to my higher self, and having that awareness that we can still have that relationship, that, you know, as it kind of was describing to begin with, we come from physical into from non-physical into physical, and we go back, we transition back to non-physical. And it's still difficult when we lose someone. It's not like, even knowing that, me losing my mum, and still it's raw at the minute, you know, at certain times things will come up, and it's her birthday this weekend. But I know that I can still connect with that love. I can still connect with that presence. And I can help other people do that as well. And that's something that's really came through, particularly since I lost my mum. It's like almost I'll talk about the gifts of change, and you know, so that's almost like a gift that she's given me to help. And so when I'm working with clients, and again, I don't necessarily go in and say, I'm going to help you connect to so-and-so or granny or whoever, but often they'll spontaneously feel like, you know, a client connected with her brother, who she'd lost when she was much younger. She was a small child, and all of a sudden she could really feel his presence. And another client recently, the one that I was talking about, with having problems with her children and so on, she really connected with her dad, and she was wary of doing it at first. She kind of wanted to do it, but was wary of it. And then she had the experience of it, and she can now sort of connect with her dad easily, having opened up to that. She can now feel his presence and feel his love, and feel almost like he's sitting next to her and just kind of like putting a hand on her shoulder or something when she needs it. And I don't say that I'm a medium. I'm not trained to do anything like that. I'm not special or anything, but I have been given that gift, as I say, through my journey, and that's what I can. And again, my higher self is agreeing with that I can help other people to do that, should they want to, should they choose to, and if that's helpful to them on their journey, that they can still feel that presence and feel that love as well. And that's such a special thing. It's such an amazing thing to be able to do. So again, I've probably went off on a bit of a tangent from higher self.
No.
It's been my journey and my discoveries kind of thing is through that journey. So,
oh, what an amazing privileged gift to have. That's amazing.
yeah.
That's made me go all kind of cozy but goosebumpy at the same time. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I'm sorry to hear about your parents, Gwen.
Thank you.
It's a tough thing to go through. Having lost a parent myself, I understand. And I know what you mean. You know, time doesn't ever get rid of things like that, but it changes, and it's just different over time. I think a lot of people, I'm no expert in this field, but just from what I understand, I think people think that when you have a connection with your higher self or spirit or guides, or, you know, however they see it, that that there will be this voices in their head, and they will hear things and they will see things. But for me, that's not it. For me, I see things, I experience things. I, like you say, I physically feel things. It could be random occurrences that happen, and you just know that that's there for a reason for you. How can people start to connect to their higher self if they're like, I can't do any of that, I'm not that kind of person? I believe everybody can. They just need to know how. So how can somebody get going and find that guiding voice?
Well, the link that I've shared with you, and you can share with the audience, is a short higher self connection, and it's free. And so it's me. It's like a meditation, really. So it's something that you can listen to. Thank you.
There you go. Links on screen.
You can listen to, and you can start to feel their energy. So that's the best way to say it. So our higher selves have an energetic signature, and it's something you have to kind of tune into and attune to. And so through listening to something like that on a regular basis can really start to help you attune to what that is for you. And we open up our own energy, and we start to, as I say, you start to really tune into yourself and attune to yourself and align with your own energy, our own highest vibration energy. And when we can lift our vibration up to meet her energy, then she starts to attune to us. It's a two-way thing. She's got to attune to us, and we've got to attune to her. And there's fun ways that we can do that as well. So I recently did a 5-day empowered you experience, because you know how you see a lot of people doing these, or do this challenge or that challenge. And I was like, I don't want it to feel challenging for people. I want to feel like a nice experience, and I want to feel it to feel empowering. So through that, I taught people different ways. So we did the higher self connection practice first, for them to feel that and to take that on board. And then we talked about other things. And the ways that you can open up to your higher self can be through things like she can guide you and give you, you talked about being aware of things happening. So it can be like through music. It can be through, experiences, meeting people and just having conversations and so on. But there's so many different ways. And we can lift our vibration by dancing, by going out for a walk, by getting out in nature. I love going to a Zumba class, for example. I went to one last night that's absolutely brilliant. And those sort of things. So we have to do the things to kind of lift ourselves up and energetically, raise our own vibration, feel better and feel good. And when you're in that good feeling place, you're more likely to be able to tune into yourself and tune into your higher self and her guidance. But so I love getting things like, you can be quite playful as well, and sort of set an intention to connect and say, right, send me something that's really easy for me to understand, easy for me to recognize. Because like you say, we're not all attuned to this, and it's like, well, I'm not very good at this, but so they'll give it to you in a way that you would understand and recognize and would be easy for you. So for some people, it's like angel numbers, or, whatever it might be. It's
11:11, Gwen.
It is 11:11. I noticed that as I was talking. Yeah, so it's perfect timing. So you can't make these things up, really, can you? You know that I do a higher self readings, and I help people to connect in that way as well. And we're going to pull a card in a minute and talk about this, a bit more about that as well. But ask them to give you guidance in a fun way that you'll understand. So often for me, what used to happen, what still happens, because I love music, is that I would wake up sometimes almost with a song playing in my head and repeat. And it's not necessarily the way you'll maybe notice it. So it's not just necessarily, the latest Kylie song or the one that's on the radio all day, because that's a different thing. That's like an earworm or whatever. But, if you get a song in your head and you sort of go, well, I've never heard that song for years, or that reminds me of so-and-so, or you just get a little bit of it and you're like, what is it about this song? So often what I'll do is I'll Google it, because Google's wonderful for these sort of things. You can Google it and you might see the lyrics and you'd be like, oh, right, that's what she's trying to tell me, because you see the lyrics in a different way. Or you might be out listening to, say, something on Spotify or on iTunes or whatever, and maybe you've got your headphones in and you're out for a walk, and you sort of hear this song that you've heard umpteen times, but then on that particular day you go, I didn't realise that was actually the lyrics, because you know how you sing the things that you think it is if you're listening to music or whatever, and then eventually you go, or you watch something on YouTube. That's another good one, is to watch it on YouTube, the ones that have got the lyrics that come up.
Yes.
So like look it up on YouTube, and then sometimes you'll go, as it comes up, you go, oh right, that's what that bit is actually all about. But actually it hits you in a different way as well, and you go, oh, that's the message I need to hear today, so that's why I'm getting that song. I think that's why it's coming into my awareness. And there'll be things that you can do. So, you know, people listening to this could say, right, I'm going to set the intention to do that. Let's have a bit of fun with this. And it could be that this song comes to you, say, not just in that way. You might see it, you know, on Facebook or TikTok or all these things that have got music behind them, on Instagram, Reels and all these sort of things that they've all got music behind them. And then maybe you hear it in the car, or like a client recently, I was talking about, I was on holiday and I was like, oh, me and my friend are listening to this favourite tune from back in the day. And she was like, oh, that's me and my husband's favourite tune. And it's from like 30 years ago or something. It's not a current one that you'd be hearing all the time. So that sort of brought it into her awareness. And I think she spoke to him about it and like, oh, we love that song. And then she went out with her grandchildren, and the restaurant that we're in, it was playing on the, you know, the background music there. And then it came up somewhere else. And so it's that sort of thing, whereas it starts to kind of pop up and come into your awareness in all different ways. And then that's when you go, right, I really need to pay attention to this, because this isn't just coincidence, you know, it's guidance coming through for you. So then you go, oh, I need to Google it, or I need to get it on YouTube, or I need to understand, what is this trying to tell me? And actually that track was I Found Loving by the Fatback Band, which you might know, which is it's a good dance song, but actually the message for her was about finding love, and that, you know, self-love message that she needed to, her higher self was trying to get her to pay attention to.
Yeah.
So that's a good fun one for people to sort of say, right, higher self, if I've got a connection with you, show me it. Or, you know, it might not be music, but it's a good, easy one to do, and it's a fun one. And when you realise it, and you realise, okay, this is happening. You might be watching a movie or in an advert. There's all different ways that music can come to us. And if it keeps repeatedly coming, that's your cue to go, okay, there's something in this. Let's look at that.
But also not dismissing it either, because it's almost like sometimes you go, right, if you're there, give me this sign. And then the sign comes and you go, I don't believe that. That's a coincidence. Give it to me again. And before you know it, you've had all these signs and you're like, nope. So you have to stay open to it, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And as you say, don't dismiss it, or if you maybe sort of go, oh, well, that's just coincidence, or, you know, then when it keeps happening, that's when you've got to go, actually, it's not just coincidence. I need to pay attention to this. So, but you say you've got to be open to it as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's so interesting. I could talk about this for days.
I know.
You mentioned meditation earlier. Now, meditation is one of those things that I really want to get into, but I struggle with, because I think, right, I'm going to meditate now. And then 2 minutes later, I'm going, no, there's other things to think about.
Yeah.
Tell me how people can use meditation for, how they can get into it, how they can start it, and how it can help them with their feelings about themselves, their development, that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what I used to find worked so meditation, and we were doing silent meditation, and again, that was what I did struggle with it as well, because you think like, I've got to empty my mind, I'm not allowed to have a thought, oh, there goes the shopping list, or there goes the whatever, and you know, you're off on that train of thought, and then you find, well, I'm doing it wrong and whatever. But actually, you know, the fact that you can start to recognize, oh, I'm doing that in itself is awareness, as you do, you know. So okay, you're never going to have a completely empty mind, let's just, you know, dispel that myth. But the fact that you're starting to tune into your breath, or tune into your thoughts, or then you can choose to think a particular thought. You can choose to use a mantra, or I used to do, when I was like trying to learn meditation in that way at first, I used to often use the loving kindness meditation. So you might, or a metta meditation, so people might be aware of that. So, and I might get the words, there's varying varying versions of it, but it's along the lines of oh gosh, may you be well, may you be peaceful and at ease, may you be loved, so you can start off saying that to yourself, and that can be useful just if you want to sort of calm your minds and you're trying to, you know, silently meditate. You can see, put your hands on your heart and just like, may you be well, may you be peaceful and at ease, may you be healthy, may you be loved. And just connect in with your breath. And again, may you be well, may you be peaceful and at ease, may you be healthy, may you be loved. And you can just feel the more you start to do that and repeat that, you just sort of slowing things down, and there's less room for the other things to come in. And with the loving kindness meta meditation, what you do is you start with yourself. So again, it's going back to that principle of love for yourself first, and you're sending that loving kindness to yourself. And then you start to send it to someone who you love, who you think is someone that you love, and maybe someone who you love who's also going through a bit of a difficulty or something, and you're sending that loving kindness to them. So you're thinking of them and you're sending the loving kindness to them. And then you might start to think of someone who you have a bit of a difficulty with. So say someone at work who's annoying the bleep out of you.
Yeah.
And it's a tricky one, but you can sort of say, oh, you're just, well, may you be well, may you be peaceful and at ease, may you be healthy, may you be loved. Because maybe they're not loving themselves, and that's what's actually causing them to misbehave or whatever. And again, and that can be like, but you're like, just, you know, you're just repeating it and repeating it. And then you might send it to someone who you know from the bus stop or from the person who serves you in Asda or whatever. But again, it's just like, and then you can send it out to all beings, and you can keep extending it out and extending it out and bring it back in. I think so. It's just like that was really useful for me, because it helped me to kind of slow me down and be present and sort of give love to myself and then give love to others. And again, that's going back to what we talked about earlier on about like sort of wishing well for others and having that positive ripple effect. And you can do that for somebody, and so that might help to change the thing with the person at work. And actually, you go in that day and they're like a bit less annoying, or they stay out your way or whatever. And you're like, it worked, excellent. You did it, but you've done it, and it's helpful to you. And like, jobs are good and sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
and the other thing I would say as well that's really, really helpful and a useful resource is something like Insight Timer. So it's a free resource. It's like any of these apps. You can you can get the free version or you can upgrade, but I still use the free version. And there's so many. There's talks, there's meditations, there's a timer. So you can use guided meditations, and you can search for different types of guided meditations. You can get meditations to help you sleep, meditations to help you set up your day, meditations to get to connect to your higher self. You can choose all sorts of things, and then you can also use, when you want to do silent meditation, you can use the timer just to do that. So what I used to do, and still do at times, is do a guided meditation first to kind of get me in the zone and kind of, it's almost like listening to a little story or whatever kind of thing. It was quite, and that just kind of gives you something to focus on. And then once I had done that, then I would do the timer and do a silent meditation, and that was my time to connect with my higher self and to allow her to kind of flow in, and that guidance to flow in once I'd slowed down the mind, once I'd slowed down the busy thoughts and sort of, as I could say, kind of got into the zone and opened myself up, and that was really, really helpful for me. So it's picking and choosing what works for you, but finding things and using the things that are out there that are free and available to you, and saying, okay, well, I'm going to try this today. Well, that, sometimes you go, well, that person's voice was a bit annoying, I'm not going to listen to that.
Yeah.
What's helpful for you and what works for you. And if you can't get into meditation because you're going, oh, their voice is really annoying, or, whatever it is, try something else, find one that does work for you.
Yeah, I'll put the link to that in the show notes, because that's going to be, well, I'm going to get it myself, but it's going to be useful for a lot of people who can't just start off by sitting there and trying and need some assistance. I really like the meditation. I think that those lines that you gave us then, they are perfect, because going back to the whole self-love thing.
Yeah.
I think it's difficult when you're in a place where you don't like yourself, you don't like your behaviors, you don't like your body, you don't, there's stuff that you don't appreciate about yourself. We can't just go from being in that position to loving yourself straight away, because
it's a journey. You've got to go up and
you've just got to work on it, and this is a really nice, gentle way to. It's not even saying, "I love you." To yourself. It's a case of, right, today I want you to be well, I want you to be happy, I want you to be healthy. And that's a really gentle way into self-appreciation.
May you be peaceful and at ease, may you be loved. And so that can be an easier way as well, because it's saying may you be loved, and it's not actually having to say, well, I love me. It's about just saying you're loved, and that could be by yourself, by your higher self, by your partner, by parents, children, whoever, the dog. Easiest for you, but it's just saying may you be loved, and it's opening you up to possibility. And one of the other things that we've spoke about before is like what if questions, and that can be a really useful tool as well about so, and again, for changing your thoughts or changing limiting beliefs. So so even, for example, you go, oh well, I'm not good at meditation, I can't quiet my mind, or I can't do this, or I'm not special, I can't do such and such. Well, what if you are? And a what if question is so brilliant for opening up your mind to curiosity and possibility. So a lot of people might be familiar with affirmations. I love Louise Hay, and I did affirmation work for a long time. The thing with affirmations, so you can tell yourself, oh, I love myself, or I'm lovely, or I'm abundant, I'm rich, I'm this and that. But your ego mind will often get in the way and go, you could be telling yourself this 50 times, writing it out, saying it out, and your ego's going, no, you're not, you've got nothing in the bank, or whatever. And got that kind of mind chatter going on then, of like you're trying to go, I'm wealthy, I'm abundant, I'm wonderful, or whatever, but the mind's going so if you go, well, what if I'm abundant, what if I'm loved, what if
I like that,
then it's just like there's nothing for that it's like, oh yeah, what if? And then you could start to go, and what would that be like, and open up those possibilities, open up those channels. So, and that's the way, if we're having thoughts that are unhelpful, in whatever way, if your clients and so on, you could, if they're saying something and they're kind of saying it almost as an affirmation, they're not realizing that they're doing it, but they're saying, I'm not this, or I am that, or I am such and such, or I'm bad for this behavior, or whatever. They say, well, what if you're not, or what if you are really good at doing such and such, or what if you're really successful, what if this was to go really well? Because we're going, oh, I'm going to go into this meeting and they're not going to like me, or they're going to do this, or I'm going to be fluff my lines, or I'm going to do whatever and get embarrassed and whatever. Well, what if you don't? What if actually it goes really well? What if everybody loves you? What if everybody really wants to hear what you've got to say? The power of what if is just, it's endless kind of thing, and it just opens up that curiosity and that possibility and that what if, just that openness.
Yeah, that's good. I've talked on the podcast before about there's a thing called 4 liberating questions. Have you heard of that? Yeah. Yes. The what if that you're talking about is a really succinct way of doing that, isn't it? It's just going, but what if? Mm-hmm. But what if it was different? What it? Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also what you can do as well, if you want to, is maybe people like to journal. So you could journal on, oh, what if life was like this, or what if the interview went well, or what if, whatever, what would that be like? And again, that's you kind of opening up to guidance in a different way as well, to your intuition, to your higher self, to something more positive, just by saying what if and letting yourself run with it, and kind of getting out of your own way and getting out of your own, the limitations are the things that we usually put on ourselves, just being, oh, what if? And it's like, get away from reality, or away from limitations, just let yourself run wild, let yourself imagination get creative, and see what else comes through when you're doing that.
We've got so much stored in our heads, haven't we, that's given to us by others. Everything we believe has been given to us, because we don't come into this world with beliefs. We're given everything that we believe from our environment in one way, shape, or form. So that's a really nice way to open that up.
Yeah. And what if you could believe something else? What if you could change that? You know, what if, and my higher self, Sandra, say yes to that. So another one, so that's a way to introduce that, but also thought it would be fun today to introduce these cards, the amazing power of intuitive what if cards. And they're a great way to get a what if question to get some guidance. So do you fancy doing that?
Yes, please.
And I'm going to say as well, this is because you talked about this being the first, one that you've done like this. And also, I just received these cards yesterday. I got these from a client who sent me these as a gift, which was lovely. That was so special.
How sweet.
Yeah. So I haven't opened them yet. So this is the first time.
Oh, we are honoured. Thank you.
So let's see what we get. If I can get them out of the box.
Oh, I love an unexpected card pull.
Yes. Okay. So like you see them. So
they're nice.
Oops. That way around. So I love doing card pulls. So I've got we're talking earlier on about community, weren't we? And have that sort of support and that kind of feeling like you found your tribe, and we met each other through the Com Network with Me Tribe.
Yes.
It's really important when you're on a journey of any sort, that kind of, whether it's a journey of self-discovery and a lot of these times when we're working on ourselves and we're on that sort of self-development journey, we can feel lonely. We can feel like, well, I'm the only person that feels this way, or I'm the only person that's doing this. But actually, when you're in that community and you discover other people that are on that same journey and feeling those same things and in that same place as you, it's so helpful. It's such a really thing.
I had a really lovely, just while you're shuffling cards, I had a really lovely testimonial given to me yesterday from one of my Eat From Within members, my membership members, saying exactly that, funnily enough, saying that when she found the membership, she found not just resources, but a group of people that she could share the highs and lows with, a group of people that were on the same journey. It's so important.
Yeah,
it's so important to have people around you.
Yeah. And especially sometimes when it's things like this, some people think, well, I can't talk to anybody else that, I think I've got a higher self and I'm speaking to her and things like that, and I think they'll think I'm mad, because we all do that, or, whatever it is, or, people that are, in your community might be like, oh, well, my friends don't get this, they've not got these issues, or they don't have the same problems as me, so I don't really want to talk to them. You want to talk to somebody who gets it, who understands it, who feels the same, or has trodden a similar path, sort of thing. So I know you've got the links to share afterwards. So my group is called Living Your Best Life Soul Family, and we're a global community, and we're all on our different paths or different parts of our journey, but we come together, and often like on a Sunday evening, usually I do live readings, and we get messages from our higher self. So if people can come on live, they can get a message personally for them, or if they can't come on live, I pull some cards afterwards, and we get like kind of universal messages often. So often we get cards that come out in the reading for someone, and actually the cards come out afterwards because more than one person was meant to get that message, which is a really beautiful thing as well. So,
I'll definitely have all the links in the show notes for people. So
if people feel, if they want to if they're curious and they want to find out a bit more, or they think, oh yeah, I'd love to have a bit of that, then I'd really invite them to come and join us in there, and that's a great kind of gateway into all this sort of stuff as well. So the card that came out as we were talking, which is often the way, and I'll hold it up, but you might not be able to see it. Oh, there we go.
There it is.
So let's try and hold it in the right place. What if the universe intuitively reminds me of my magnificence with each breath I take? And then there's a little sort of small print, if you like, and it says, every part of you is a blessing. So how perfect is that for what we've been talking
That's incredible.
about?
Yeah. Read it again, Gwen.
What if the universe intuitively reminds me of my magnificence with each breath I take? So again, it's about that self-love, and it's also about, we've been talking about meditation, about learning to still the mind, to quiet the mind, to connect with ourselves. So, doing the loving kindness, for example. So what if the universe intuitively reminds me of my magnificence with each breath I take? So that when you're taking the breaths, when you're slowing it down, when you're sending yourself that loving kindness, you're reminded of your magnificence. And also the bit underneath, every part of you is a blessing. So again, that can really help people who are, you know, having difficulties or with their self-image or with self-love, or, you know, something that they do that they're like, oh, I wish I wouldn't do that, you know, with all these things that we're working on. But it's like every part of you is a blessing, and seeing it that way and seeing it as, okay, I've got awareness of this now, so I've got the awareness that I can, if I want to, I can change that, or I can accept it as a blessing, accept it as part of me, and, you know, love myself with all my faults, love myself with my perfect imperfections, you know. So that's what I just love about that. You can interpret that in so many ways, but it just simply kind of encompasses what we've been talking about, and that's what is so special. So even somebody having, you know, cards like this can be a really good way to start to attune to their higher self and their guidance and the messages that they want to give them, because they'll do it in the easiest way possible. As I say, they'll present it to you in the way that you can understand it, you can take it on board, and you can, you know, if people want to then go and maybe somebody wants to take that question after watching this today and think, okay, let me journal on that. What if I was connecting with my magnificence? What would that be like? What would that most magnificent version of me be like? What would she be doing? What would I be doing as that magnificent version? And what would that look like and feel like? And you can start to embody that more as you tune into that, as you allow it.
Yeah. Yes, because sometimes it's hard to see yourself as that person now. Mm-hmm. But if you think about what it could feel like, what it would be like, what it would look like, how you would carry yourself in the world, that sort of thing. Yeah. It just, it makes you feel higher vibration. Yeah. Instantly. Yeah. 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 Oh, that is the perfect card. Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. It's and that's where our higher self comes in, of like, you know, this is the message that you need to receive today. So I know people sometimes go for readings and things like that, or come for a reading, and they're like, oh, I really need to hear such and such. And sometimes they're like, oh, I need you to tell me about so-and-so or such and such. And I'm like, well, that's not the way it works. You'll get the message that you need to receive, not necessarily what you want to hear. Yeah. So, and then when they receive it, they're like, oh yeah, that is actually what I needed to. So yeah, beautiful. That feels like a perfect place to end, with a perfect message. Oh, thank you. People can go on and take on in whatever way they want to use as well. So that's, you know, a nice little gift to leave people with as well. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Gwen. This has been such an amazing conversation. Thank you. Just tell everybody where they can find you then. Where are you online? How can they find you? Yeah, so there's a couple of places. So there is... I've got a Facebook page, which is Living Your Best Life Coaching with Gwenne Dickson. So it's a bit long, but sometimes you have to do that on Facebook to stand out from everyone else. So, and it's got my face on it. So if you find that, you'll know you're in the right place. And as I say, my group is Living Your Best Life Soul Family. So I'd love to invite people to join me there if you've had fun with that conversation and like to explore that a bit more. It's a great place to be, and it's a beautiful community. And I'm also on LinkedIn, which is Gwenne-Dickson. And I'm on Instagram, and Instagram is Living Your Best Life 888, because Instagram, again, you know, so many people have already got similar things. So that's why everything's not exactly the same. But yeah, you should find my picture on all of them, so you know you're in the right place. So yeah, that's been great fun, and thank you very much for inviting me to come and chat to you and your audience today. It's been lovely. Oh, welcome. You're really welcome. And the for people watching this, the QR code is still on the screen for that, for the link that we were talking about earlier. For the higher self connection. Yep. Phoebe. And I will also put the link to that in the show notes. Yes, thank you. It's all there. Just hit the show notes. All the links. Click all the links and join all the things. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'd be great to meet people and do more with them and share more with them, and yeah. Thanks, Gwen. Thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you.